Welcome to the C-Level Strategy Series with Jon Arnold. This series delves deeply into the issues business owners and leaders face each day as they operate their businesses in a post-pandemic world.
What does workforce development mean to you and your organization, and be as broad as you can be, please?
Well, we're a very diverse organization with lots of different program silos, so it's not a single thing. But I would say where we have seen the greatest success and where I would be the biggest advocate is really engaging with students to create internships that are meaningful for them. I couldn't even guess right now the number of students that we brought on as an intern that have transitioned into really great employees for us or gone on to work for one of our portfolio companies. You're really raising them right, as they say. You know, you're getting them acclimated to your culture and your sets of expectations, really understanding their strengths, their weaknesses, helping to shape them into productive employees in the future. And while eventually, of course, they're going to move on, find another job, grow in their career, we've gotten really great years out of some of those interns as they've transitioned into full-time employees. And some are still with us, and some of our most productive employees. I mean, it is a truism that if you can find somebody who's the right fit for your organization, that notion of hire for attitude and then train for skill, that's really where we've seen the greatest level of success.
Is your organization coming after those folks, or are they coming after you? Or is it like a square hole type scenario?
It's both. We frequently have people who will reach out to us because their kids are looking for an opportunity, especially in additive manufacturing. You know, somebody who just is so familiar with it and they want to learn more about it. But we do also actively search, and we search on behalf of our portfolio companies. We've got a program that YSU administers, the MONUS Fellows, through the Williamson College of Business, that they help us identify students to work with our startup companies, typically more on the digital side, but they can work on either side, digital or additive. And then we really are just announcing this shortly, but I'm happy to talk about it. Vince and Phyllis Bacon have also endowed a program with us for fellows for additive manufacturing students coming out of the STEM school. And through both of those programs, you know, we are constantly seeking, trying to find students that would be the right fit.
Bob, do you mind if I tail off on you the same question? I'll read it again for you. What does the workforce development mean to you and your organization?
Workforce development, John, for commercial metal forming, I would describe as a foundation. And in that context, what I mean is that I think if you look at recent history, you know, why do companies fail, businesses fail? They don't really examine internally that did they hire the right people? Did they have the right culture? And then did they facilitate the growth and the development of the individual? Commercial's been around 101 years now and has had some good times and some bad times. But we are on a huge upswing from a growth standpoint over the last 5-6 years. We just invested another $3.5 million in the company. Why? It's not about becoming more capable. It's about we've developed the people and the skill sets and attracted talent that allows us to thrive. So the word foundation, what that means to us is that just like with innovation, we look at people first. And the development of our people is the starting point for everything that we do. And I think that's where businesses lose their way. They lose sight of it's about the bottom line. Well, the bottom line's darn important, but you're not going to optimize the bottom line if you're not developing the talent that you have, because you invest in that talent. It's something that should be held near and dear to your heart. And that's where you get the payback eternally for reinvesting in your people. So I know we'll talk later about what could some of those things look like. But the number one thing for us in our culture is the development of our people.
You're doing that both organically and inorganically?
Yes. Yeah.
Excellent.
Do you mind if I build upon that?
Please do.
What time investment is required? So, when you think about training, is it a continuous effort, or are there literally blocks of mandatory training?
Well, that's a great question, because one of my frustrations in some of these questions in preparing for this was, well, what failed or what aren't you doing? In reality, you can't spend enough. I mean, time training people. So you have to use lessons within the context of the business as vehicles to talk about, these are the things that we did in talent development, or these are the things that relate to strength finders, or these are the examples of achievers. Because we're real big, as you know, Jeff, we're real big on doing our own internal workshops. Not that we have they're only ones that can do it, but one of the things about workshops, for them to be successful, is you have to have a level of trust. You have to be able to come in, and depending on what the content of the workshop is, throw your guts on the table and maximize the results of that. So we have trust within our organization, so we're comfortable having crummy workshops because we still feel that trust will win the day. So a long-winded answer, I'm sorry, but I don't think you can spend enough time on investing in your people. So you have to look at opportunities that someone comes in from finance and is dealing with an issue, and how do you relate that to training for them to help them grow, not just in the financial world, but it could be in dealing with someone on the phone or dealing with a customer or supplier that you have a conflict with. So all these things tie in. So what we try to do, not that we do it every day, believe me, I fail a lot, but it's having the awareness that take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you and tie that into the message of the culture and what you're trying to do from a talent management standpoint. So that's the word foundation just immediately comes to mind, because it is foundational. It's not a program that you check off in HR that says, you did this year. Next year, you're going to do this. So it's got to be somewhat dynamic and fluid, but you're trying to create these building blocks around you, so there's not enough time. I wish we had more.
I hear sometimes it's easy to jump on and correct mistakes, so that's continuous improvement, right?
Sure.
But that gets annoying too. So and that's something I'm trying to be cognizant of, right? Is if you see something, it's easy to find, I wouldn't have done it that way. I would, and maybe that's getting not with the spirit of this question, but
No, I think it is, because what you can do when those things happen, because we don't, by the grace of God, we have no barriers, really. I mean, people play in each other's areas, and we encourage that. We want that to be, because that's developing business people. We don't want to have great salespeople, great finance people, great engineering people, great technical people. We want to have great people. So why limit them? Expose them to many things. And we'll often do that. There'll be a call where it goes really badly, and there'll be 4 or 5 of us in there, and we'll go, hey, how do you think we could have improved on that? Were we aligned with what the people we were talking to? Was there an alignment there of purpose? Those kind of things.
And
so
with the trust as the foundation.
Yeah, instead of looking at your Outlook and going, I got another minute, I got another meeting in 20 minutes, hey, I got to go. That meeting can wait, because it's that opportunity that you got to take. And it's hard, because we all have schedules where you go, you're backed up. I got an 8, I got a 9:15, I got a 10 o'clock. And then the phone and the email and all the other things that we deal with. We miss out, I think, sometimes by letting that control us versus controlling what we can control, and say, how can we all learn from what just happened?
Guy, can I get you to put your input on that one?
Yes, and I appreciate the comments. And Barb, I want to thank you for the internship program too, because that fits into what I would call brain retain, which is keeping the talented people here. And Bob, 100-some years in the community, that's wonderful.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're investing shows that you have some confidence in the workforce here. Otherwise, you wouldn't stay here and grow here. We look at it from a whole different perspective, because I'm representing 2,400 businesses. My organization has 2,400 companies that need to figure out this workforce issue, and they're across every single sector, all size businesses, so we can't focus on any one industry, any one sector. And we look at it from what I would call a talent retention, expansion, and attraction perspective, that we need to retain the talents here. We need to help companies keep their workers. We need to expand the availability of workforce here. We also need to attract more people to the community. One of the things that we struggle with is there are probably 4, maybe 5 dozen organizations in the community that are doing something in that workforce space. And I'm not even counting all the K through 12 school systems. And what we need to do is get them out of those silos and get them to start comparing notes and working. And Bob, your term of, start playing in each other's areas. We need these guys to do the same thing. There is some overlap in the training programs and competition over funding and bodies, but there's also gaps in areas that we need to train people. We have some scary intersections. We have a declining population, but the workforce development organizations in this community have announced about 8,000 new jobs coming online. So those are not good intersecting points, declining population and job growth. And so we really need a concerted effort getting all of the workforce organizations aligned and working together and growing that workforce for everybody.
I'll put my 2 cents in, and I'll turn over to another question. The immediate thing that I heard, especially Bob, when you talked, is cost. Like, I have that same exact foundational principle as all 3 of you. Is I make my workplace culture-wise one that I hope my employees cannot wait to get to. Like, we spend more time with our employees than we do with our own families. Would you agree with that? So I make it the most elite, most positive culture that I can make it, and with that comes a lot of culture training. But when you talk about training, I think about my small scale. What's it like for, what do you got, 350, 400 people in your plant?
About 200 total.
Yeah, 200. Yeah. That's 200 people.
Oh,
that you're trying to condition to be what you want them to be in terms of positive culture workshop, whatever have you. So I will say this, I think that you're onto something, all of you, and I think that the foundation of making your place one that they can't wait to go home, more of a place that they can't wait to get to, I think pays off as far as the war, losing the battle, but winning the war, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
That's a great comment. You'll probably recall this very easily. I'm sure we all will. The big, when things were in vogue about mission vision statements, and everybody had to have one, and we've had this conversation before. And on our website, as you've heard me say, we don't have one because people put the mission statement on their website at that place because they can't remember it.
That's true.
And I think it's true. I remember I was working, when I first got into business and changed careers, they passed around the card because they were coming around to do automotive audits. And God forbid, if you didn't have your mission card in your back pocket, and they'd come and say, okay, what's the mission? And you'd pull that out and read it. Well, that made no sense.
Mm-hmm. It should be in your heart.
Because it wasn't visceral,
Good word.
So, working on culture every day, I mean, that is part of the challenge of this talent management and workplace development is you got to work at it every single day. And if you don't, you lose ground. So we try to keep our culture real simple. We have the responsibility to help every person we touch be successful.
But our firm, we have the 300 rule. And I tell our folks, if I give you 100 and you give me 100 and you give your job 100, there's no way we can fail.
Right.
That's the 300 rules, we call it. And of course we fail every day.
Yeah.
But if we're reaching to that every single day, that 300 rule where I'm giving my employees 100, they're giving me 100, we're giving our job mission 100, we're going to go up. We're going to fail we're going to fail sometimes, but the overall year-to-year performance should go up.
Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell for notifications. And also make sure to connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. For all of your business news, visit businessjournaldaily.com. For all of your arts and entertainment news, go to afterhoursyoungstown.com.